Rights Week, and I was just making the comment that there's many aspects of enduring a crime, a loved one, what have you, that it goes on, it lingers, it doesn't end. Even if the criminal is, I guess, caught, apprehended, and convicted, that doesn't really address, I guess, the personal invasion that we were discussing. And so the outreach is needed, and just continued comforting is needed even after that occurs. And it hits the news cycle and we kind of forget about it, I guess. But your office is staying involved and trying to look out for these folks.
Well, we really are, because like you said, I mean, it's an invasion on you, and it does stay with you. It's very hard to cope and to get through that.
Yeah.
And then you suffer all these challenges that go with it. And so it's important for our office and for all of us to rally together anytime anyone has been through a crime. And it's way too often, unfortunately.
And it's hard to function. It's what I was saying off the air, that, when you experience something like that, it's hard to try to find some normal life, function, perform. It's hard enough to function, perform, and earn a living when you don't have that baggage hanging over your head. But when you've got that inside, that even makes it more difficult. And so we should be cognizant of that, and that can cause financial problems, as you indicated as well, if you're unable to perform at your best and earn a living through gainful employment. So
and the families suffer, and we were discussing during the break. I mean, it's so many different crimes, and then the murderers, and the people can't afford to bury their loved ones, and so we try to be there and help in that regard as well. Because again, some closure, but those families continue to think about that loved one, miss them every day, and it's senseless and should not have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted also to talk, General, about SB 2121, which would criminalize revenge porn. Now, that's passed the House and Senate. Is that right?
It has.
And waiting for governor's signature at this point?
Yes, it is. Waiting for governor's signature, and it would go into effect July the 1st.
What's he signaling?
I think it's going to be passed. Again, this is one that's much needed. We're very appreciative. Senator Joey Fillingane was the lead on this. Mm-hmm. This is really an important piece of legislation. Again, to protect those, to take back control, revenge porn. I mean, these victims, they suffer, and talking about suffering for days and years, but we were a state that didn't have revenge porn, one of only 4. So I'm glad that we have now moved into that arena and that we have this very important law. Now, it helps on so many levels, because now we can prosecute. We can go after these individuals that choose to engage in revenge porn. And again, this is all about helping the ones that have suffered take back control and to disallow this and know that we mean business in Mississippi. So just to kind of put it in perspective about revenge porn. So if, let's just say you're in a relationship with a boyfriend, husband, significant other, partner, it could be the wife, could be the girlfriend, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
And you share some pictures. Well, it's not consensual that person would put them out, either online, text, website, whatever the case might be. And there's no agreement that you allow those pictures to be shared, but you send them to your partner or whomever, and then let's assume you have a breakup or something goes awry. And these individuals, for revenge, what do? They take these pictures and they put them out there for everybody to see. Now, you think about if that were your daughter, oh my goodness, and now these pictures are out everywhere. And does it just affect today? Absolutely not. Those pictures, as we all know, digital, they're out there forever.
Yeah.
And as we've seen, what happens is, there's no way to get them back.
Yeah.
And then many times they end up on like Pornhub.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, those pictures are out there. It is devastating to these individuals. I'm telling you, Gerard, it hurts their lives. It's exponentially hard for them to recover because now everything has taken a toll on their life because these pictures are out there. So this is some hard legislation to stand up and say, we're going to give these victims a peace of mind. We're going to hopefully prevent individuals from putting these pictures out there because there is recourse. And so excited that it's been passed and will be signed by the governor because we really want to help these individuals get back to some normalcy, some peace of mind. And this is a heavy, heavy lift when you got very personal pictures out in the digital world, and you know that the recall on those is about slim to none.
I got to tell you, I'm a little surprised to learn that we were only one of only four states that did not have such a law.
We did not. We had proposed it last year, and it didn't get through, but we're excited that this year that the legislature recognizes the significance of this piece of legislation. And again, for our prosecutors, they were getting calls all the time. This has happened. This has happened to my daughter. This happened to my whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any recourse. They didn't have anything they could actually file a charge against.
Yeah.
And now we do, and this is a significant piece of legislation moving forward. And July the 1st is when it will be implemented.
Of course, an important underlying message here is be careful.
Be careful.
Don't do that stuff. Because, like you say, once it's done and it's digitized, it's permanent. It's forever. And it's virtually impossible to purge or expunge once it's in digital form, especially after it gets transferred around and circulated around. It's just impossible. And people look to hop on that and to exploit it and to make money from it is what happens often. And so just be aware, you are kind of the subject matter for someone else's income at your expense is what it boils down to often. Or even in the case of revenge, it's just as Rhino likes to say, it's people that achieve some sort of dopamine rush by just doing stuff like that out in the public square, which has unfortunately become kind of common in our society. But be careful for sure. What else you guys got going on down there at the AG's office? Any high-profile cases? I know you're working on I-65, and we await the Supreme Court's decision there.
Absolutely. We have a number of issues going on, certainly very busy as the state's law firm and investigative unit. Certainly there's a lot going on. We will be awaiting the opinion from the Supreme Court on Initiative 65. And the reality is that is not about medical marijuana. It is about individuals' rights in Mississippi to vote to amend their Constitution.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And we know that there are several consequences if they choose to go the other way. I mean, look, voter ID is up, eminent domain. There's a number of different issues. So this is a very key opinion that we'll all be waiting for. But again, it really gets down to the whole nexus is if you're an individual here in Mississippi and you're a voter and you vote to amend your Constitution, you should have the right to do that.
Well, if the Supreme Court General comes back and rules in favor of the plaintiff, would that not suggest then that we really don't have a mechanism for the people of Mississippi to put a measure on the ballot and have that amend the Constitution?
Well, it certainly delineates that right that all of us have the expectation that we know is part of our rights through our process. That would be a game changer for all of us. And it affects so many different other areas. You look at a number of different things that use those 5 congressional districts, whether it's a board appointment, things like that, where it will kind of filter through. But the real key piece is people voted to amend their Constitution. And that is what is so significant. I mean, that would be, like as you said, decreasing the freedom that we all have the expectation that we can go cast our ballot and we assume we are making a change to our Constitution if we have the right percentage.
As a business person, from my vantage point, seems like a conflict between the practical and the technical. And from a practical perspective, from a realistic perspective, as you've said, the people voted this way. Technically speaking, there's a problem, I guess, but it's more of an administrative issue than anything else. We got to fix that. Can we get the legislature to come back and fix that? This is crazy.
But you got to think about this from the perspective. It's about a 2-year process to get something on the ballot. You've gone through collection of signatures.
Yeah, expensive.
It's an expense. You've got votes that are coming in from our military.
Yeah.
So there's a whole process that is at stake here.
I got it.
And again, it's important for all of us as voters.
Appreciate you joining us today. Attorney General Lynn Fitch, thanks so much for coming.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thank
We'll
you.
be right back on the JT Show. Stay with us.